So obviously there are still at least a couple more games left for you guys, but through 11 games, what do you feel like is kind of the story to this point for your guys in offense? How would you sort of assess things to this point?
Group that's gotten better week to week. A team that's learned how to practice. A team that's got a bunch of young players that are ascending. They still have a lot of work to do. They still have a lot of work ahead of them this week, and it's obviously the task at hand is the most important thing. And the reason we've been able to improve is because we have learned how to practice.
Some defenses have a particular style or something that's their calling card. When you look at the Clemson film, does anything jump out like, oh, they play a lot of zone, they blitz a lot, they do a lot of this or that? Anything in particular?
I think the thing that sticks out when you watch their tape is their effort and how hard they play. It's a group that plays extremely hard. They run the ball. Fundamentally, they're very good up front. It all starts up front with those guys. It's a very talented team. They've done a great job recruiting, but they also do a great job of coaching the fundamentals and technique once they get there. And you can tell they're getting the right type guys because they play hard.
Thank you.
How do you expect Lenoris to handle being the guy in the South Carolina Clemson game quarterback? Quarterbacks are always the centerpiece, and how do you expect him to handle the emotions of kind of being that one of the focal points of the offense on Saturday?
The same way I expect him to be the focal point every week we played, whether it be an SEC game or non-SEC game, a home game, away game. It's a heavy burden to wear the crown, and we expect him to practice well and play well. And this game's no different for him in his preparation and how he's getting ready to play.
Devon Campbell has obviously had two big games here. I would imagine practice has probably helped get him to that point, but what has his ability to be out there and do what he's done, how much has that added to the offense and helped you guys out?
Yeah, we're starting to vibe now because you dropped that word practice. I know I talk about it a lot, but it goes back to that. Like, you got here and he's got tape from Nevada, and you get him in your system. He's starting to learn it, and you see the size, you see the speed, and just his ability to show up at practice and do those things. Then practice execution becomes game day reality. Then he starts doing it on Saturdays when it matters the most, and then all of a sudden 16 starts trusting a lot. And now there are routes where 16's like, hey, I really like 15 on that. And you're like, oh, really? Okay. And so because they're starting to build a little bit of continuity, they're starting to understand each other a little bit more. And in Lenoir season, making plays on Saturday, and it gives them confidence. And when a quarterback has confidence in a wideout that, hey, when I give you a chance to throw a ball, you're going to go compete for him. You got a chance to make a play on the ball. It takes off. And I watched it at practice today, and I saw him give 15 a couple chances at practice. I'm like, oh, that's I can see his confidence in 15 grown because of the way 15's playing, but he doesn't get those opportunities if he doesn't practice the right way. And so a lot of credit to the kid because he's getting better every week, and we're going to need him to play big this week as well.
Yep. Speaking of wide receivers, you did a lot of 4 wide last week. With last week with 3 tight ends being out and having to go from a lot of 12 personnel to a lot of 4 wide, how hard is that in the span of 1 week, either for you and the position coaches or for the players?
You got to have smart kids like Luke Doty and Peyton Mangrum that can step in there and carry a lot of burden, because it's not something I don't know if we'd had one snap of 10 personnel. And we are a tight end heavy offense. We believe in 12 personnel. We believe in 11 personnel. There's been moments when we have 3 of them out there at one time, and it will always be that way here. We believe in the tight end position here, and but for those guys, you got to be able to trust a Luke Doty, a Peyton Mangrum to go out there in a new week, and maybe concepts that we've had in our offense, but all of a sudden in 1 week, now you got to go play Y, which you've never played Y. And there was some 20 personnel last week as well, which is 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs. And so now that you're still – and it puts now the second running back and Oscar and those guys, Jawan, Juju, they have to be ready as well. But to play in 10 personnel, the kids deserve all the credit. And Luke and Peyton really stepped up for us. And when we were in a tough situation with injury, and we're able to help the offense and function the way we need to function to win a game.
Unless my math is off, and that's very possible, y'all were giving up like 4 sacks a game before this month, and now you're giving up 4 throughout the month. Can you quantify how important that's been for the offense to be able to ascend to like
I mean, before you can find ways to win, you got to find ways to not to lose. And those negative plays, when they start disappearing, all of a sudden, like the offense starts to come to life because you can be more aggressive. You're not in second and long. You're not in first and long. You're not in third and long. All of a sudden, you're ahead of the change. So you feel like you control the game, and you're in control of the game with how you call the plays, the balance of run pass, the creativity that allows you to have just the confidence it gives you as a coaching staff. Like, hey, we're going to protect. And now we got a quarterback that's starting to learn how to get the ball to the right guy, even if it's not going versus like, hey, if we have a play designed to attack cover 3, when we get quarters, well, he knows where his outlets are and he knows where to go versus that coverage with the ball. And so a lot of the credit of the last 4 or 5 games of us winning and playing the way we need to play on offense to help the team win games goes up front and goes to Coach Teasley and those guys. And we've said it a million times, and I know everyone gets sick and tired. Probably the 2 words y'all hear from me the most is practice and getting better. But we also knew it was a group that was going to have to play together to get better. And so there's a lot of those kids deserve a lot of credit because they stuck in the fight. And it's not always positive when you're not playing to your standard. And sometimes those 5 guys out there are better as a group than they are individually. And as the season goes on, you got to get better, and you should get better. And if you got good coaching like we do with Coach Teasley, then you do get better. That's where improvement shows. He's taken those guys; they're fundamentally sound, and every week they've gotten better. And that's why that number's gone down. That's why the offense, we score more points. That's why our third down percentage is up. That's why our red area percentage is up. That's why we're able to run the ball the way we've been able to run the ball is because it all starts up front. And this is a line of scrimmage league. It's very much similar to the NFL that way. So you take those 5 to 7 guys have been playing a lot, and Coach Teasley, and they've done a great job this last month, and we need them to do it one more time because we're going to play a really impressive defensive line that's an SEC caliber defensive line that we're excited about the competition, but we're super excited about how much these guys have grown in this process.
Kind of leads into my question. How has the schedule that you guys have played, the ranked teams, the road games, the kind of competition you've played week in and week out, how has that helped to develop your offense and prepare it for what's ahead for it Saturday and then in the postseason?
Yeah, I think competition makes you better. But this is really a man-on-man race. Like, you're trying to be the best version of yourself. And if we recruited the right type kids, which I feel like we have, and if they've got the right makeup and they practice the right way, then and you've got good coaching, you will get better. And playing in this conference, like, everyone knows what they sign up for. Everybody thinks they want to be in the SEC until you get a taste of it. And it's like the NFL that way. Coach Shula and I always joke about it because we spent our whole careers in the NFL, and there are no off games in the SEC. Everyone's good. Like, every week it's like, geez, man, these guys are good. You look at the defensive rankings, like, geez, these guys are in the top 30 in the country. Like, every week it feels that way. And it's like, hey, when do we get an off week? And you just don't in this conference. Like, and Clemson has an SEC type defense. They've been really good for a really long time. They've recruited defensive linemen really well for a really long time, and they're built like that. So a ton of credit to those guys. And I think the level of competition, in the Bible it says iron sharpens iron. And that's what happens as one man sharpens another. And it's true with football as well. Like, the better competition you face, like, you rise to the level of competition and you will get better because you face great players week in, week out in this conference. Appreciate the guys that were here today.